Hi. So I just wanted to do a quick video about today's book haul. Um, I normally 100% haul and on haul through the little free libraries. With some exception, I get some free books from friends, which I also unhaul at the little free library. And sometimes I go to thrift stores or like yard sales, estate sales, and if books are there, I'll rummage through them. It's a great joy for me to rummage through books. The purpose of today's book haul was to find books that would be legitimately on a TBR. As I'm just sort of trading through little free libraries, sometimes I get books that I'm curious about because I'm curious about almost everything. And I'm not quite sure even what it's going to be about besides the synopsis. Maybe I'm familiar with the author. I don't even look up the authors when I'm sitting in front of the book box. I just kind of pick based on the synopsis. And I also, in book boxes, and always just sort of look for some diversity around genre and around publication date, around the nationality and identity, demographics of the author, etc. Well, it should come as no surprise that finding sort of diversity in race, ethnicity, and other demographic markers such as LGBTQIA and or even in nationality is a little harder to find. The book boxes have good representation, but I'm still probably my ratios of reading sort of like books written by amazing authors, but of limited sort of variety of demographic. It's real. So when I went to the Goodwill today, I decided I'm going to look for specifically diversity in author's demographic and or nationality, and I'm going to look for books that either I already know about from some review video or from someone gave me a recommendation in my life, and or that I'm otherwise really excited to read because of the synopsis. So I took a long time today, and this particular Goodwill I went to was really well organized. It was alphabetized pretty well, and it was kind of easy to rummage through the books in that way because of the organization. And so I was able to really kind of take my time to pull books off shelves, to put them back, to kind of, I had like a tier of like, of a decision-making process. And I wanted to limit myself. So I got 8 books today from the Goodwill and 2 from book boxes. And I felt like that was a lot. I kind of was at the outer limit of how many books I should haul in at once. So to start off, the first book, not that I chose, not in any order, just in the order that I have them sitting here. The first book that I chose and I'm kind of really excited to read is this one. And this is Wolves of the Crescent Moon by Yusuf Al-Mohammed. And this author is from Saudi Arabia, and I don't believe I've ever read any Saudi Arabian authors. So for that reason alone, I was excited for this book. Wolves of the Crescent Moon is a title that was exciting to me. This is a small book, so that was also exciting. And yeah, I definitely, this is on a TBR and would probably be read in amongst maybe some other books that I was less into and wanted just a little book that I feel, at least think, that I'm going to get really excited about. The next book that I have in this pile is something that I heard reviews about, and I was legitimately really excited to find it on the shelf. I didn't go through any process. I just pulled it off. And that's the Empire of Wild. I've heard a couple reviews on this book. It's by Sherry Dimeline, and sorry for the pronunciation, Sherry, if that's not how you pronounce your name. This is a First Nations Canadian author. Super excited. It's around a myth. So don't know the classification, even though I've heard reviews of it, but as it's around some mythology, to me, it's going to be maybe fantasy, maybe a little magic realism. This book is giving young adult, which I love young adult. So I'm hoping that's true. But if it's not, if it's new adult, that's also or any other thing, that's fine. I'm really excited about this book, Empire of Wild. The next book that came right off the shelf too, I haven't heard about it. I've heard a little bit about this author whose name I'm not going to know how to pronounce. And if I end up publishing this video, I'll probably edit for pronunciation because I do believe it's important. But in the effort of just talking about this book, it's Purple Hibiscus. And this is an African author. And I have read some African authors in my life, but of sort of the continents that I've read the least of, Africa is one of them. And purple is a color that I love. Hibiscus is something that I love. I'm really excited about this book. Following that, it's a absolute classic. I have recollection of having read it. However, I don't remember it at all, kind of getting in that place in my life. And also love rereading books. Even though I don't hold on to books normally, I love finding them again and rereading them again. It's almost like it's meant to be. So this is Zora Neale Hurston's Their Eyes Were Watching God. And yeah, absolutely total TBR for me. Will have it waiting when I have a like disappointing read or something that made me just long for the kind of story that this is. The next book I picked up because I saw several reviews of it. Some good, some not good. But I'm just kind of excited to read a book that I've recently watched reviews about because it's something new for me. And maybe something I'll do more of or maybe not. But that's the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Or Hugo, depending on how you want to pronounce that. I don't know how Evelyn pronounces her last name. Anyway, by Taylor Jenkins Reid. It's a newer book, which is exciting for me. I do also like diversity in publication dates, as I have said before. And yeah, 2017. So that's quite a bit newer than a lot of the other things that I picked up. Yeah. Excited for it. It's again a TBR, so will stay on my shelf likely until I'm like, oh, I need to read something that I'm really looking forward to reading instead of something experimental or something that I just traded for and I'm getting done because I'm curious about it. When I used to travel around, particularly when I was traveling in my 20s, backpacking as it were through Latin America, I, on several occasions at several different like bookshelves on hostels or in a treehouse that I was staying, picked up T.C. Boyle. And I remember really liking T.C. Boyle as an author. And I don't remember reading this particular book, which is Riven Rock. I may have. I definitely remember reading The Tortilla Curtain, which is here. But I wonder if, since my 20s, my opinion of T.C. Boyle may have changed due to multiple factors. So I'm kind of excited to read this author who I used to be quite fond of, who I read in a very specific 2 of his books and it was very specific sort of phase of my life, to see if it still lands. The next book just in this pile is My Life as an Emperor by Sue Tong. I read the synopsis on the back. It excited me. I have a lot of authors from the continent of Asia on my shelf right now, or have read them through the little free libraries. So I found them in the little free libraries. Several Japanese, 1 Malaysian, a Korean author. So this is maybe the first Chinese author and Chinese translation. So I'm excited for that. And I kind of, the synopsis of like exploring someone's life as an emperor or as royalty in a way that's introspective and not just glorifying opulence or royalty in that way. And that's what this gave me from the synopsis. That's exciting for me. When I lived in South Korea, there was a bookshelf in the apartment that I lived in with many people where people who traveled just left their books. And a book that still sticks with me to this day was A Fine Balance. And it's something that I don't know if I could ever read again. First of all, it's a really long read. And second of all, whenever there's sort of the theme of torture, the description of torture in books. Like, I know there's stories that need to be told, but I think I'm really sensitive to that. And so I'm glad that I read it. It made me excited to find a book by the same author, and also a little nervous because, again, if we're going to run into torture themes, I'm going to have to be in the right state of mind, and then have the right, like, cozy romance or something to have read before, after, or even during at the same time. But this is such a long journey. It is the last book that I picked up at my Goodwill book haul today. As far as them being TBR, I'm just going to read them exactly when I feel like I need to read a book that I picked and would like to read, since I've been just, as I said before, just picking up whatever I'm curious about, or maybe in an exchange. And in another video, I can go over like my process of 100% unhauling books into those little free libraries and trading them up, and just kind of the adventure that has been for me. And it has meant that I've been exposed to all kinds of authors and all kinds of books I'd never heard of before, but not necessarily am super excited to read, maybe just more curious, or that's the book that I traded up and that's the one I picked that day. So let's see how this goes. These books were chosen carefully. They were paid for, albeit not much. It was a charity shop. And once I read them, they will go into the little free libraries and get exchanged. Or not. Sometimes I just give. There's nothing to take or nothing I'm interested in taking. And yeah, we'll see how it goes.